Hello students, I hope you all are doing well. Welcome to Educrat IAS Academy's initiative Edu-Samiksha, wherein we will be discussing some news with respect to UPSC Prelims and Mains perspective for the date 27 September 2025. So let us start with our discussion. So the first topic that we're going to take up is new farming technology to combat desertification. This topic we're going to discuss with respect to turning Rajasthan's desert into arable land. अब आगे बढ़ने से पहले लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड द मीनिंग ऑफ डेजर्टिफिकेशन। अगर इसको हम आसान भाषा में समझने की कोशिश करें तो डेजर्टिफिकेशन इज नथिंग बट टर्निंग फर्टाइल लैंड इनटू barren land. Okay, so desertification is basically turning fertile land into barren land. Now this is becoming a growing ecological problem in areas such as western Rajasthan. अब इसके reasons क्या है? There has been various reasons, but few of the prominent reasons are unsustainable land use, sand dune spread, and also erratic rainfall that worsening the problem. Right now, अभी हाल ही में क्या हुआ? In a first major breakthrough, scientists at Central University of Rajasthan, they have successfully grown wheat in Thar desert soil. इसके थ्रू by using indigenous bioformulation and desert solidification technology. अब ये desert solidification technology क्या है ये हम डिस्कस करेंगे इन डिटेल्स, बट बिफोर दैट दिस इनोवेशन कैन हॉल्ट desert expansion, restore degraded land, and it can also enhance the food security in arid zones. All right, now what is the background? Now if we talk about the extent, so 30% of India's land are facing degradation, majorly in states like Rajasthan, Gujarat and Maharashtra. The reasons we have already discussed, जैसे erratic rainfall, sand dune movement and overgrazing, deforestation are some of the reasons. अब इसके relevance क्या है? This basically supports India's commitment towards UNCCD and also SDG 15. अब SDG 15 क्या बोलता है? Life on land. All right. So this is in relevant to the India's commitment. Now the technology, desert solidification. What is desert solidification? Desert solidification is basically it is a biotechnological method. उससे क्या होता है? It transforms desert sand into fertile soil. किसके through? By using polymers and bioformulations. Now, what are the advantages of desert solidification? It can promote soil structure and moisture retention. Apart from this, it promotes cross-linking of sand particles, and that is basically beneficial for microbes. Now it can also enable crops to grow in water scarce and arid regions. But right now there has been a pilot experiment that was conducted in 2024. अब ये pilot experiment कहाँ पे किया गया? In अजमेर, बंसेली विलेज में, नियर पुष्कर, जो कि एज ऑफ थार डेजर्ट है. कौन कौन से क्रॉप्स टेस्ट किए गए? जैसे व्हीट, बाजरा, गुआर, चिकपी. अब with respect to implementation, 13 kg of indigenous wheat, 4,079 seeds were sown on 1,000 square meter of desert land in November 2024. Then bioformulation applied, and in this only 3 irrigation needed, whereas in normal time 5 to 6 irrigations are needed. All right. Now, what are the key outcomes? So the yield got doubled. With doubling of yield, the stress got reduced, and also there has been higher water efficiency. Apart from this, microbial activity also increased the soil fertility. अगर हम कुछ पैरामीटर्स की बात करें with respect to conventional field and desert bioformulation field, so in conventional field irrigation cycle कितना होता है? Around 5 to 6, whereas in desert bioformulation field it is only 3, nearly half, right? Then yield होता है 13 kg, whereas in desert bioformulation field it is 20 kg. So yield is getting doubled. irrigation cycle is getting halved whereas yield is getting doubled. Water retention अगर हम बात करें, so in conventional field it is very low, whereas in case of desert bioformulation field it is high. Now, what all are the institutional supports that are being provided? So कौन लीड कर रहा है? सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ राजस्थान माइक्रोबायोलॉजी डिपार्टमेंट. पार्टनर्स कौन कौन है? कृषि विज्ञान केंद्र, स्टेट हॉर्टिकल्चर डिपार्टमेंट. एंड कृषि विज्ञान केंद्र हैज आल्सो designed the field layout in the real desert conditions. Okay, so with respect to this, Professor Akhil Agarwal ने क्या कहा कि even barren desert land can become productive using right biotechnological approach. Okay, now in 2025 there has been a second phase. अब second phase में क्या किया गया? The experiment was conducted on 400 square feet area, which is in जैसलमेर sand. कौन कौन से crops लाए गए? बाजरा, गुआर, चिकपी, and it gave around 54% higher yield in bioformulated soil. Apart from this, Central University of Rajasthan also planning to expand this to millets and green gram in Rajasthan and Baipur areas. अगर हम बेनिफिट्स की बात करें, सो इसको तीन सेक्टर्स में हम बेनिफिट्स देख सकते हैं. फर्स्ट इज एनवायरनमेंट, सेकंड इज एग्रीकल्चर, थर्ड इज सोशियो इकोनॉमिक. अगर हम एनवायरमेंटल बेनिफिट्स की बात करते हैं, सो एनवायरमेंटल बेनिफिट्स में इट बेसिकली कन्वर्ट्स दिस सैंड इनटू सॉइल, जिससे क्या होता है कि डेजर्ट कंट्रोल में आता है. वाटर कंजर्वेशन 40 to 50% less irrigation is required, and at the same time it is also restoring the ecology that enhances the vegetation and microbes. Now with respect to agricultural benefits, then higher yields, climate resilient crops are there. Apart from this, this is expanded to cultivable land in arid areas. अगर हम सोशियो इकोनॉमिकल बेनिफिट की बात करें, तो दिस रिड्यूसेस माइग्रेशन. अगर माइग्रेशन रिड्यूस होता है तो क्या होता है कि इट कैन क्रिएट रूरल जॉब्स, राइट? इट कैन क्रिएट रूरल जॉब्स, एंड दिस पायलट प्रोजेक्ट कैन बी रेप्लिकेटेड इन अदर स्टेट्स जैसे गुजरात, महाराष्ट्र एंड सहेल रीजन इन अफ्रीका. So if we talk about the challenges and what could be the possible way forward for those challenges, so first challenge would be कॉस्ट ऑफ बायोफॉर्मुलेशन. अब इसके वे फॉरवर्ड्स क्या है? सब्सिडीज देना पड़ेगा, एंड ऑल्सो वी कैन इंक्लूड द पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप मॉडल. इफ वी टॉक अबाउट द अवेयरनेस एंड ट्रेनिंग चैलेंज, देन हाउ व्हाट वी कैन डू? वी कैन implement the KVK and extension support. If we talk about the scaling, then it can be integrated with Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana and also National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture. We can integrate this for scaling purpose. And policy backing, if we talk about the policy backing, then what can we do? We can include under desertification mitigation measure. Okay. So what all are the government linkages? So with respect to government linkages, we have already discussed Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, National Mission on Sustainable Agriculture, soil health management, then Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana and UNCCD National Plan. So desert solidification technology, it marks a new frontier. New frontier कहाँ पे? In sustainable agriculture. What it combines? It combines biotechnology with ecological restoration. So with this, it can even turn barren deserts into productive, right? So with proper policy support and farmer awareness, what can be achieved? India can achieve the land degradation neutrality by 2030, and at the same time it can set a global model to combat the desertification. All right, so with this, let us see one main question. So the question says, examine how indigenous bioformulation based desert solidification technology developed in Rajasthan can contribute to climate resilient agriculture and sustainable rural livelihoods. So I hope you are attempting the question, and if you are attempting the question, then you can write the answer framework in the comment box. With this, let us move on to the next topic for the day. So the second topic that we're going to discuss is AFSPA in India. Now, what is AFSPA? AFSPA is basically Armed Force Special Powers Act, right? AFSPA is Armed Force Special Powers Act. Now, why this is in news? This is in news because AFSPA has been extended for 6 months in parts of Manipur, Nagaland and Arunachal Pradesh, right? From October 2025 to March 2026. Now, what is AFSPA? It basically grants extraordinary powers to the armed forces so that they can maintain the law and order in areas which are declared as disturbed by the government of India. All right. Now, what are these special powers? What are these special powers? So, special powers include, like, what it can include? This include the officers, warrant officers or junior commissioned officers or non-officer ranking individual can use force और फायर अगर उनको लगता है कि कोई इंसान डिस्टर्ब एरिया में is breaking the law and order, then they can use the force or fire against them. Apart from this, they can arrest people. They can arrest people without warrant. They can also destroy the infrastructure if they think that there can be possible attacks that can be made from that infrastructure or buildings. Apart from this, they can also search an individual or any building without any warrant. So these all are the powers, and that makes it a special powers. Now, with this there is a growing debate with respect to human right violation and security versus liberty debate. Okay. Now, if we talk about the historical background, then AFSPA was enacted in 1958 to tackle insurgency in Naga hills of Assam. But from where, according to constitution, from where they are getting this power? This is basically empowered under Article 355. Article 355 हमने पहले डिस्कस किया था in our previous lectures. तो Article 355 क्या कहता है? Article 355 says that it is the responsibility of the union to protect states against internal disturbances. Alright? अब एप्लीकेशन कहां पर है? पहले तो ये नागा हिल्स ऑफ आसाम में इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया था, बट later it was expanded to northeastern states as well as Jammu and Kashmir. Okay. What all are the key provisions of AFSPA? So declaration of disturbed area. अब disturbed area कौन declare कर सकता है? Any state government or central government can declare an area as disturbed. Okay. Where it is applied? It is applied to, as I've already discussed, that it is applied to northeastern states and Jammu and Kashmir, but Jammu and Kashmir से withdrawal किया गया था in 2009 after the reorganization. Okay. Now, what are the powers to armed forces? ये भी हम लोगों ने पहले डिस्कस किया, जैसे use of force including lethal force against anyone contravening the law, arrest without warrant, search premises without warrant, destroy armed dumps or fortified shelters used by insurgents. Now, with respect to immunity, no prosecution can be held against the army personnel without proper sanction of central government. So this is the immunity the army personnel is having with respect to AFSPA. Now, the current extension. अब currently कहाँ पे extend हुआ है? Manipur, we have already discussed that it has been extended across state except in jurisdiction of 13 police stations. Apart from this, Arunachal Pradesh and Nagaland also the AFSPA has been extended. पहले क्या था? Between April 2022 to April 2023, AFSPA was withdrawn from several valley police stations in Manipur. क्यों? क्योंकि वहां पे security थोड़ी बहुत improve हो गई थी. But now again, this has been extended for 6 months. Now, what is the rationale behind AFSPA? So the first one is counter insurgency. Counter insurgency कैसे? It basically helps the army to deal with militancy and counter and insert and cross border terrorism. डिफिकल्ट टेरेन, अब जैसे डिफिकल्ट टेरेन जैसे हिली एंड फॉरेस्टेड रीजन्स हो गया, तो वहां पे क्विक एक्शन इज नीडेड एंड दैट इज व्हाई AFSPA बिकम्स वेरी मच इंपॉर्टेंट. नाउ विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू वीक लोकल पुलिस, अब जैसे हम लोग सभी जानते हैं कि लोकल पुलिस इज लैकिंग द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड द एक्सपर्टीज to maintain law and order, right? So that is why in many insurgency hit areas lacking adequate police infrastructure, so that is why the AFSPA is required. Now with respect to national security, it is important in border states, especially with external links. अब external links जैसे चाइना हो गया, म्यांमार हो गया, so these are important. So AFSPA is important in the states which are having border with Myanmar and China. So what all are the criticisms of AFSPA? Human right concern. Human right concern क्यों? क्योंकि there has been allegations of custodial killings, fake encounters and harassment. एक famous case आया था, Iram Sharmila's case who was a 16-year-old girl and she performed hunger strike against AFSPA in Manipur. Then next one is impunity to forces, क्योंकि लीगल इम्यूनिटी अब उनके पास पुलिस आर्मी पर्सनल के पास जो इम्यूनिटी मिला है, सो दैट डिस्करेजेस अकाउंटेबिलिटी एंड ट्रांसपेरेंसी. इट फर्दर लीड्स टू द एलिनेशन ऑफ पीपल, क्योंकि दिस इज बेसिकली सीन एज अ सिंबल ऑफ मिलिटरी ओवररीच एंड दिस कैन डीपेन द रिजेंटमेंट अमंग लोकल्स. अगर हम जुडिशियल ऑब्जर्वेशन की बात करें, सो व्हाट जुडिशियरी सेड, उन्होंने कहा कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट इन 2016 रूलिंग इट सेड दैट इवन इन डिस्टर्ब्ड एरियाज यूज ऑफ एक्सेसिव फोर्स इज नॉट परमिटेड. सो दिस इज व्हाट सुप्रीम कोर्ट had said in 2016. Now what all are the committees and their recommendations? So the first committee was Jeevan Reddy Committee 2025. तो उन्होंने क्या कहा, दे रिकमेंडेड टू रिपील AFSPA, ओके, एंड सजेस्टेड इंसर्टिंग रेलिवेंट प्रोविजंस इनटू UAPA मतलब अनलॉफुल एक्टिविटीज प्रिवेंशन एक्ट. सेकंड ARC ने क्या रिकमेंड किया, सेकंड ARC सजेस्टेड टू रिव्यू द AFSPA एंड मेक आर्म्ड फोर्सेस अकाउंटेबल, क्योंकि बिकॉज ऑफ द इम्यूनिटी आर्म्ड फोर्सेस आर नॉट accountable, so that is why they recommend, second ARC recommended the armed forces should also be accountable. Okay, now Santosh Hegde Commission, इन्होंने क्या कहा, they have found several encounter cases in Manipur to be fake. Okay, so these all are the committees and their corresponding recommendations. Now अगर हम balancing security and rights की बात करें, so there is the need for AFSPA. क्यों? क्योंकि सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस क्या आर्ग्यू करते हैं कि अगर AFSPA को विड्रॉ किया गया, देन दैट में इंक्रीज द इंसर्जेंट ग्रुप्स एंड वीकन द काउंटर टेररिज्म. ओके, फॉर रिफॉर्म्स क्या क्या चाहिए आप इसके लिए, पीरियोडिक रिव्यू ऑफ द डिस्टर्ब्ड एरिया स्टेटस शुड बी देयर, क्लियर गाइडलाइंस होना चाहिए, क्लियर गाइडलाइंस विथ रेस्पेक्ट टू द यूज ऑफ फोर्स. इसके अलावा देयर शुड बी अ ग्रेटर रोल फॉर लोकल पुलिस. कब? जब एक बार सिचुएशन नॉर्मलाइज हो जाता है. नेक्स्ट इज देयर कैन बी मैकेनिज्म फॉर सिटीजन ग्रीवेंस रिड्रेसल. ओके, सो दीज आर द रिफॉर्म्स दैट आर नीडेड राइट नाउ. तो AFSPA क्या रिफ्लेक्ट करता है कि इंडिया इज स्टिल struggling to balance national security with democratic freedoms. Okay, अब ये AFSPA एक तरफ तो काउंटर इंसर्जेंसी को रोकने में मदद करती है, बट एट द सेम टाइम देयर हैज बीन एलिगेशंस that it is being misused and also there has been fake encounters, harassment. तो इससे क्या होता है कि instead of outright repealing AFSPA, what we can do, a calibrated approach can be made with respect to safeguarding, accountability and gradual denotification of disturbed areas. जो दैट ऑफर्स अ pragmatic way forward. अब इंडिया का चैलेंज कहां पे लाई करता है? इंडियाज चैलेंज लाइज इन ensuring that the fight against insurgency does not become a fight against its own citizens. Okay, now with respect to this, let us see one mains question. So the question says, critically examine the relevance of APSPA in India's internal security framework, suggest reforms to make it more accountable without compromising operational effectiveness. So you can attempt the question and write the answer in the comment box. Now let us move on to our third topic for the day. So the third topic that we're going to discuss is understanding the rupees slide against the US dollar. अभी हाल ही में इंडियन रुपी हैज हिट रिकॉर्ड लो विच इज 88.6 पर यूएस डॉलर. अब इससे क्या रिफ्लेक्ट हो रहा है? दिस बेसिकली इज रिफ्लेक्टिंग डीपर ग्लोबल एंड डोमेस्टिक इकोनॉमिक शिफ्ट्स. अब करंट फॉल हाइलाइट्स क्या हाईलाइट कर रहा है? इट इज हाईलाइटिंग द की कंसर्न फॉर इंडिया ट्रेड कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस, एक्सटर्नल स्टेबिलिटी एंड ऑल्सो मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक मैनेजमेंट. सो ये इंडिया का जो रुपी फॉल किया है अगेंस्ट यूएस डॉलर, so this is highlighting India's trade competitiveness, external stability and also macroeconomic management. अगर हम recent trend की बात करें, so throughout September 2025 the Indian rupee has been hitting all-time lows against the US dollar. It has lost over 3% of its value and meanwhile बाकी जो मेजर करेंसीज है जैसे यूरो, पाउंड, युआन, रियल, दे हैव स्ट्रेंथेंड. अब ये तो स्ट्रेंथ दीज रुपीज दीज करेंसीज आर गेटिंग स्ट्रेंथेंड. अब इससे हम लोग क्या डिटरमाइन कर सकते हैं कि द फॉल in Indian rupees is not solely because of the US dollar but also strengthening of other major currencies जैसे euro, pound, yuan, real. So in the past month alone, last month में rupee has lost 1.3% of its value. Okay. अगर हम causes, what all are the causes behind the rupees depreciation? So the first major cause is trade imbalance and current account pressure. ट्रेड इम्बैलेंस क्यों? क्योंकि हम लोग को मालूम है कि इंडिया इंपोर्ट्स द मेजॉरिटी ऑफ इट्स ऑयल फ्रॉम अब्रॉड, राइट? सो इंपोर्ट बिल राइज हो रहा है स्पेशली इन क्रूड ऑयल, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स एंड ग्लोबल, एंड दिस इज रिमेनिंग हाई. ओके, नाउ विथ रेस्पेक्ट टू दिस, with respect to rising global oil prices, अगर ऑयल प्राइस, जब भी हम लोग ऑयल खरीदते हैं बाहर किसी कंट्री से, सो किस में पेमेंट करते हैं हम लोग? वी पेमेंट इन यूएस डॉलर्स. तो ऑयल, द प्राइस ऑफ ऑयल इज इंक्रीजिंग. दिस what it is leading towards? This is leading towards the increasing demand for US डॉलर, राइट? तो यूएस डॉलर की जो डिमांड है वो इंक्रीज हो रही है. अभी कोई चीज, अभी इसको सप्लाई एंड डिमांड की तरीके से अगर हम समझेंगे, तो सप्लाई इज गेट लेस, डिमांड इज मोर, सो डेफिनेटली द थिंग, द पर्टिकुलर द यूएस डॉलर will get increased, right? So that is what it is explaining. So import bill क्या कर रहा है? Rising global oil prices and this raises demand for US dollar to pay for the imports. अब उसके साथ ही में अब क्या हो रहा है कि exports are getting stagnant and this is basically widening the current account deficit. Okay, so exports are getting stagnant. Import में क्या हो रहा है कि rising global oil prices is basically leads to the rising demand of US dollars. So current account deficit is getting widened. Okay, next is weak capital inflow. अब weak capital inflow कैसे हो रहा है हमारे देश में? FDI and FPIs. FDI क्या है? Foreign direct investment. FPI, foreign portfolio investment. We have already covered the key aspects of foreign direct investment and foreign portfolio investment in our previous lectures. Now in the comment box, I want all of you to comment to state the difference between FPI and FDI. ओके, सो अभी क्या हो रहा है कि वीक कैपिटल इनफ्लोज, FPI have turned negative. क्यों? Because there has been a global risk aversion and India's slower GDP growth के कारण FPI have turned negative. With respect to FDI, the flow is stagnant and investors क्या कर रहे हैं? Investors are basically awaiting for stronger policy signals and corporate earnings. Now, with respect to interest rates in differentials, तो इसमें क्या हो रहा है कि यूएस फेडरल रिजर्व इज बेसिकली टाइटनिंग इट्स मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी. अभी अगर मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी टाइट कर रहा है, मतलब क्या, इंटरेस्ट रेट्स बढ़ रहा है. तो इसको हम ऐसे समझते हैं, जैसे लेट सपोज देयर इज अ कंट्री ए, ओके, एंड देयर इज अ कंट्री बी. ओके, I being an individual, okay, so this is me, I have 100 rupees to invest. Okay, now what country A is giving me? Country A is giving me 10% of interest, whereas country B is giving me 5% of interest. मेरे पास 100 रुपीज है, तो मुझे इन दोनों में से किसी एक कंट्री में इन्वेस्ट करना है. अब मैं कहाँ करूंगा? ओके, so definitely I'll invest in the country where it is giving me higher interest. तो मतलब मैं इसके पास जाऊंगा. So this is what US is doing. So US is increasing or it is tightening the monetary policy. मतलब interest rate वो बढ़ा रहे हैं. So what it is leading toward? It is leading towards US assets are becoming more attractive, and this lead to the outflows from emerging markets like India. जैसे ये मेरा 100 रुपीज यहां से यहां चला गया, right? So this is basically leading to the outflows from emerging markets like India. अब lower inflows of US dollar, this causes more pressure on the rupees. Okay, apart from this, the fourth reason for rupee depreciation is stagnant domestic growth. अब इंडिया की जो इकोनॉमी है, this is growing very slow than expected, and that is why it is reducing the investor confidence. अभी अगर recent data की बात करें, then tariffs and protectionist measures have hurt the industrial recovery very badly. Okay, so because of all these reasons, जैसे trade imbalance and current account pressure, weak capital inflows, interest rates differentials, stagnant domestic growth are becoming the major reasons behind rupees depreciation. So impact क्या होगा? Okay, what would be the impact of a weaker rupee? So impact can be divided into negative as well as positive. अगर हम negative impact की बात करें, so क्या है? जैसे हमने पहले डिस्कस किया कि वी आर इंपोर्टिंग द मेजॉरिटी ऑफ ऑयल्स फ्रॉम आउटसाइड, तो उससे क्या होगा कि हायर इंपोर्ट कॉस्ट. एसेंशियल इंपोर्ट जैसे क्रूड ऑयल हो गया, फर्टिलाइजर्स एंड मशीनरी, दे आर बिकमिंग वेरी मच कॉस्टलियर. अगर ये कॉस्टली होते हैं, अगर तेल का दाम बढ़ता है, तो उससे क्या होता है? इन्फ्लेशन, एंड दिस इन्फ्लेशन विल डायरेक्टली अफेक्ट आवर household budgets. Okay, now pressure on fiscal deficit. So what will happen? The pressure of subsidy will fall on fuel and fertilizers, right? Then if the subsidy burden on fuel and fertilizers rises, then what government may face? Government may face higher external debt, क्योंकि subsidies बर्डन फ्यूल और फर्टिलाइजर से बढ़ रही है, तो गवर्नमेंट को क्या करना पड़ेगा? गवर्नमेंट को बाहर से पैसा उधार लेना पड़ेगा. अगर गवर्नमेंट पैसा उधार लेती है, सो व्हाट विल हैपन? गवर्नमेंट में फेस हायर एक्सटर्नल डेट सर्विसिंग कॉस्ट्स. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस, द थर्ड नेगेटिव इंपैक्ट दैट मे अराइज इज स्टॉक मार्केट वोलेटिलिटी. स्टॉक मार्केट वोलेटिलिटी क्यों? क्योंकि फॉरेन पोर्टफोलियो इन्वेस्टमेंट्स अपना पैसा बाहर ले जा रहे हैं. So that lead to rupee depreciation inflation spiral. Okay, so all these are negative impact of rupee depreciation. अगर हम पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट की बात करें, तो एक्सपोर्ट विल गेट कंपिटिटिव. कंपिटिटिव मतलब Indian goods will become cheaper in foreign markets. So with that respect, export may become competitive, and also it will boost the exports of textiles, IT services, and agro products. All right. Apart from this, this may boost the tourism and remittances. Tourism कैसे? जैसे एग्जाम्पल के थ्रू मान लेते हैं, लेट सपोज इन 2020 2020 में, जस्ट एन एग्जाम्पल, कि अगर 1 USD की वैल्यू अगर 50 रुपीज थी, राइट, तो मतलब कोई फॉरेनर आता है, अगर वो $1 देता है तो उसको 50 रुपीज मिलता है. बट इन 2025 व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, 1 USD 88.6 हो गया. तो पहले जब किसी फॉरेनर, अगर कोई फॉरेनर $1 देता था तो उसको 50 रुपीज मिलता था, पर अभी क्या हो रहा है, अगर वो $1 दे रहा है, सो इन दैट रिस्पेक्ट ही इज गेटिंग 88.6. मतलब क्या, उसको ज्यादा रुपए मिल रहा है. अगर उसको ज्यादा रुपए मिल रहा है, देन इफ ही कम्स फ्रॉम US टू इंडिया, देन he can get more goods and services with the same amount of money. अगर ये होता है, then what will happen? Definitely he will prefer to come to India and travel and enjoy. So that is why there will be a boost in the domestic tourism and as well as remittances. क्यों? क्योंकि inflows from NRIs in dollars, it will fetch higher returns. Okay, higher rupee returns. Now अब क्या होगा कि दिस विल सपोर्ट फॉर मेक इन इंडिया. मेक इन इंडिया क्योंकि दिस विल एनकरेज द इंपोर्ट सब्सटीट्यूशन. इंपोर्ट सब्सटीट्यूशन कैसे, जैसे हमने पहले डिस्कस किया कि अगर हम कुछ चीज इंपोर्ट करते हैं तो वी हैव टू पे मोर. अगर हमें कोई गुड्स इंपोर्ट करने के लिए अगर ज्यादा पैसे खर्च करना पड़े तो हम क्या प्रेफर करेंगे, वी विल प्रेफर टू मेक दैट पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट और दैट पर्टिकुलर गुड इन इंडिया इटसेल्फ, राइट. So that is called import substitution. So import substitution में क्या होगा कि this will support the make in India project, okay, and boost the local manufacturing or domestic economy. So what is the RBI's response and policy space with respect to rupee depreciation? तो पहले क्या होता था कि RBI used to intervene, but this time RBI has intervened very mildly, क्योंकि it is basically avoiding aggressive defense of the rupees. Reason क्या है? The possible reasons can be it is basically preserving the foreign exchange reserves and also it is expecting कि market driven adjustment can perform automatically and will support the export growth. कि वो अपने आप ही वो ठीक हो जाएगा. That is what RBI is expecting. But RBI को क्या करना चाहिए? RBI should use a mix of spot intervention, swap facilities and interest rate tools to check volatility. So these all are the measures that RBI can take. अगर हम structural issues की बात करें, so these are being exposed. कैसे? The rupees fall also exposes deeper vulnerabilities. जैसे we are heavily dependent on oils imports, then low export diversification, क्योंकि export कहाँ पर हो रहा है, बस IT and pharma, they are being dominated. Okay, then persistent trade deficits, जैसे China and other economies के against में we are having a lot of trade deficits. Then there is a limited progress in manufacturing competitiveness as well. अगर हम वे फॉरवर्ड की बात करें, सो देयर कैन बी टू वे फॉरवर्ड, वन इज शॉर्ट टर्म, द अदर वन इज मीडियम टर्म. अगर शॉर्ट टर्म मेजर्स की बात करें, सो वी हैव टू मेंटेन एडिक्वेट फॉरेक्स रिजर्व्स, राइट. वी नीड टू एनकरेज द FDI and FPI inflows so as to stable the policy environment. Apart from this, we can also take care with respect to targeted intervention so that the public driven depreciation should not the panic driven depreciation should not generate. Okay, with respect to medium term reforms, अगर medium term reforms की बात करें, so what we can do, we can promote the export diversification. IT और फार्मा के अलावा भी we need to value add manufacturing and green technology. We need to reduce oil dependency. Oil dependency से reduce कब होगा? जब we will be accelerating our renewable energy adoption. We need to deepen the bond market so that we can attract stable capital inflows. Apart from this, we also need to ensure price stability. Price stability कैसे? Through supply side reforms. So these all are the measures that we can take with respect to short term and medium term. So rupee side depreciation, what it is reflecting? It is basically exposing India's global and domestic vulnerabilities. अब जैसा हमने पहले डिस्कस किया कि रुपी के डिप्रिशिएट होने पर दो चीजें हो सकती है, पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट भी होता है, नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट भी होता है. तो अगर पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट की बात करें, सो इट मे बूस्ट एक्सपोर्ट्स एंड prolonged weakness, but the prolonged weakness can risk inflation and investor unease. तो हम लोगों को क्या लेकर चलना पड़ेगा? a balanced mix of export growth, fiscal prudence and monetary stability. It is very much essential for potential or project economic strength. Okay, now with respect to this, let us see one main question. So the question says, examine the key factors behind the recent slide of the Indian rupee against the US dollar. How does currency depreciation impact India's trade balance and macroeconomic stability? So you can attempt this question and write the answer framework in the comment box. Okay. Now, let us see some of the prelims pointers. So the first prelims pointer is we're going to talk about is BRICS grouping. अब ये BRICS क्यों न्यूज़ में है? क्योंकि Trump has recently threatened that he will going to impose 10% tariff on BRICS members. Okay, so that is why it is in news. अब BRICS के बारे में बात कर लेते. So who all are the members? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. So these four countries originally formed BRIC, but South Africa joined. कब साउथ अफ्रीका ने ज्वाइन किया था? इन 2010. अब new members, the expansion was in 2025. So it is Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, UAE, Indonesia. So these all are the new members that have joined. Population और economy की बात करें, so with respect to population, it is comprising around 45% of world's population, whereas with respect to economy, it comprises 28% of global economy. Objective, what all are the objectives of BRICS? To strengthen economic, political, social cooperation, boost global South influence in UN, IMF, World Bank, WTO, and also to promote sustainable development and social inclusion. Okay, annual summits, action plans since 2010, this guides cooperation among the members. Now, they have one bank which is called New Development Bank, NDB. So when it was established in 2014, summit in Fortaleza, okay, and operational from 2015. What is the purpose of this bank? To provide fund for infrastructure and sustainable development in EMDCs. अब EMDCs मतलब emerging market and developing countries, okay. Headquarter कहाँ पर है? Shanghai में, and regional offices are there, which is in South Africa, Brazil. Voting, it is based on subscribed shares, जहां पे BRICS shares more than 55%. तो BRICS मतलब ये पांचों countries is sharing more than 55%, and there is no veto power. Okay, now let us move to the next pointer. So the second pointer is MiG-21. Why this is in news? Because MiG-21 has recently been decommissioned from Indian Air Force, so that is why it is in news. Type देखते हैं. This is a supersonic jet fighter and NATO named it Fishbed. It was developed by Mikoyan Gurevich Design Bureau, that is USSR, and it was first inducted in Indian Air Force in 1963. कितने production है? 657 been built in India by HAL. HAL means Hindustan Aeronautic Limited under Russian license, and it is the second most produced jet in the world. there are various nicknames that has been given to MiG-21 जैसे Balailaika, Olovek, NBAC are some of the nicknames. अगर ऑपरेशनल हिस्ट्री की बात करें, then it has participated in 1965 and 1971 Indo-Pak wars, 1999 कारगिल wars, 2019 बालाकोट स्ट्राइक, एयर स्ट्राइक में भी MiG-21 का यूज हुआ था, ऑपरेशन सिंदूर में भी हुआ था, and now it has been decommissioned from the Indian Air Force. Now the next pointer is Hosan. So who are these? Hosan is basically indigenous people from Southern Africa. अब San मतलब क्या है? Hunter gatherers, whereas Khoi Khoi or Khoi means pastoralist. What is the significance? They are one of the earliest divergent human lineages and they have very high genetic diversity. Recent findings क्या बोलता है कि European colonization has altered their ancestry and there has been a sex-biased migration where European men and Khoisan women shaped present-day genetics. Okay, slave trade impact from 1652 to 1808, VOC brought 63,000 enslaved women from Africa and Asia to the Cape. Khoisan also used as laborers. अगर historical interactions की बात करें, then around 2000 years ago, the arrival of Eastern African pastoralist and Bantu speaking agro-pastoralist. Last 1500 years में Bantu largely replaced and assimilated Khoisan in Eastern South Africa. 1652 onwards क्या होता है कि Dutch colonization via Cape Town, they reshaped the demography as well as the genetics of Khoisan people. Next prelims pointer is National Initiative on Water Security. This is launched under Manrega Act 2005 and this has been amended to make water conservation mandatory. What is the objective? Objective is to address groundwater depletion and ensure long-term rural water scarcity. Fund allocation की अगर हम बात करें, so overexploited blocks like 65%, semi-critical 40%, others are greater than 30% for water works. Approach, there has been systematic water security planning. This basically integrates campaigns जैसे Catch the Rain and Amrit Sarovar. Achievements क्या है? 1.25 crore water assets जैसे farm ponds, check dams has been created. 68,000 plus reservoirs are being created or rejuvenated under Mission Amrit Sarovar phase 1. Okay. Now the next pointer is Qatar adopts UPI. Okay. So what happened? NPCI and Qatar National Bank, they have implemented UPI in Qatar. But with this, Qatar becomes the 8th country to adopt UPI. अब दूसरे और कौन कौन से कंट्रीज है जिन्होंने यूपीआई अडॉप्ट किया है? भूटान, फ्रांस, मॉरिशस, नेपाल, सिंगापुर, श्रीलंका एंड यूएई. So what are the benefits of adopting UPI? So what will happen? This will ease the payments for Indians visiting Qatar and also reduce the cash dependencies and currency exchange hassles. Okay, so these all are the benefits. About UPI, अगर UPI की बात करें, so this is developed by NPCI and it enables real-time, secure, low-cost transactions and it is built on IMPS and AEPS. Now, in the comment box, you're going to tell me the full form of NPCI, IMPS and AEPS. Okay? Full form in the comment box. So what is the significance? World's top real-time payment system. It becomes the world's top real-time payment system and it powers 85% of India's digital payment. Now let us see some of the prelims question. Okay, so the first question says, which of the following statements about BRICS is or are correct? BRICS originally consisted of Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. The new development bank was established to fund sustainable development projects in emerging markets and developing countries. Each member of BRICS has veto power in the new development bank. Options includes 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. Next question, consider the following statements about the MiG-21 fighter aircraft. It was first inducted into the Indian Air Force in 1963. The MiG-21 was designed by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited in India. Its NATO reporting name is Fishbed. Which of the above statement is or are correct? Options 1 and 2 only, 1 and 3 only, 2 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. Third question, which of the following statements about the Khoisan peoples of Southern Africa is or are correct? They include the San, hunter-gatherers, and Khoi Khoi or Khoi, which means pastoralist. They represent one of the earliest divergent human lineages with high genetic diversity. The Dutch East India Company, VOC, brought enslaved men primarily from South Asia and Africa to the Cape between 1652 to 1808. Options include 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. Next question, consider the following statements about the National Initiative on Water Security in India. It has been launched under the Manrega Act 2005, which was amended to make water conservation mandatory. In overexploited blocks, at least 65% of Manrega funds are allocated for water-related works. The initiative primarily focuses on urban water supply infrastructure. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? Options 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. Last question for the day. Which of the following statements about India's unified payment interface are correct? Qatar is the 8th country to adopt UPI globally. UPI is built on immediate payment services and integrates Aadhaar-enabled payment system. UPI handles more than 50% of India's digital payments. Options are 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. So I expect all of you to write the answer in the comment box of all these questions. I have one announcement. So the next video that will come, it is on 3rd of October, which is Friday. So I wish all of you a happy Durga Puja and a happy Dashera. With this, I'm signing off. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a nice day. Jai Hind.